Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Pan Am 73 to New York via Karachi.
Morning, captains. I'm Neerja Bhanot. I'm your head purser today.
Pan Am Flight 73 was hijacked by 4 terrorists from the Abu Nidal organization.
At least 15 passengers and crew dead, perhaps 150 injured. That's the toll of the Pan Am jetliner hijacking in Pakistan.
She was 22 years old. She had the chance to escape first. She gave that chance to the children instead. On September 5, 1986, Pan Am Flight 73 was sitting on the tarmac at Karachi Airport, preparing for departure, when 4 armed men stormed the plane. They were from the Abu Nidal organization, one of the most violent terrorist groups of the 1980s, and they had a specific target: American passengers. They wanted them identified, separated, and used as leverage, or executed as a statement. Neerja Bhanot was the senior flight attendant on board. She was 22 years old, from Mumbai, the daughter of a journalist, a young woman who had been modeling and had taken the flight attendant job at Pan Am because she loved to travel and wanted to see the world. She had been on the job for less than 2 years. She had no training for this. Nobody does. In the first seconds of the hijacking, she did the first thing that mattered. Pan Am protocol required the senior crew member to alert the cockpit immediately if a hijacking began, a signal that would allow the pilots to evacuate through the cockpit hatch before the terrorists reached them. Neerja transmitted the code. The 3 pilots escaped. The plane could not take off. The hijackers were grounded. She had already saved lives, and the ordeal was just beginning. For 17 hours, Neerja Bhanot moved through a sealed aircraft with 4 armed men who were growing more frightened, more erratic, and more dangerous with every hour that passed. She kept passengers calm. She distributed food and water. She translated between the hijackers and the passengers. She spoke English, Hindi, and enough Arabic to be useful. She watched, and she managed, and she bought time with the particular combination of composure and attentiveness that the situation demanded. And she hid the passports. The hijackers had ordered the crew to collect all passenger passports. They were looking for American travel documents, planning to identify U.S. citizens and use them as primary targets or execute them first. Neerja collected the passports as ordered, and then, quietly, methodically, she hid as many American passports as she could find, slipping them into seat pockets, tucking them into spaces the terrorists would not immediately search. When the hijackers went through the documents, dozens of American passengers were invisible. They could not be found because their passports could not be found. She had saved them. She had saved them by not doing the thing she had been told to do, in a situation where not following orders meant a gun pointed at her head. After 17 hours, the plane's generators ran out of fuel, and the cabin went dark. In the darkness and the panic that followed, the hijackers understood that their situation was deteriorating beyond recovery. They opened fire. In the chaos, gunfire, smoke, screaming, the emergency exits being thrown open and passengers rushing for the doors, Neerja Bhanot moved toward the children. 3 children near one of the emergency exits were exposed, unable to move, directly in the line of fire. She put herself between them and the bullets. She was hit multiple times. She died on the tarmac in Karachi. She was 22 years old. She had been alive for 8,000 days. She spent the last 17 of those hours keeping 359 people alive on a hijacked aircraft, and she spent the last seconds of her life making sure 3 children she had never met before that morning would get to live theirs. The government of India awarded her the Ashoka Chakra, the country's highest peacetime honor for bravery, making her the youngest recipient in the award's history and the first woman to receive it. Pakistan awarded her its Pride of Performance Award. The United States awarded her the Special Courage Award from the Justice Department. She was celebrated, honored, remembered. She was also 22 years old, and she was gone. Her mother, Neerja Bhanot, spent the years after her daughter's death building the Neerja Bhanot Trust, which works to support women who have shown bravery and to fight violence against women in India. The trust bears her name and carries her image, and every year it gives awards to women who have done the kind of thing Neerja did. Not the dramatic kind, necessarily, but the daily kind, the quiet kind, the kind that requires refusing to accept the world as it is when the world as it is wrong. There is a detail in Neerja Bhanot's story that is easy to overlook because it does not fit neatly into the narrative of the hero who had no choice. She had a choice. Pan Am Protocol, the same protocol that required her to alert the cockpit, also gave crew members the option to evacuate through the same hatch the pilots had used before the terrorists secured the aircraft. She could have left. In the first seconds of the hijacking, she had the same escape route the pilots used. She stayed. She stayed because she was the senior crew member and the passengers could not leave, and she did not believe that her life was worth more than her responsibility to them. She was 22 years old, and she had thought this through clearly enough to act on it in seconds under conditions that would have justified almost any other choice. That is not the absence of fear. That is something rarer and harder, the presence of a decision made in the worst possible moment that puts something else above the fear. She saved 359 people. She hid the passports. She shielded the children. She never made it off the plane. Her name was Neerja. It means lotus, the flower that grows in muddy water, that rises through the darkness to the light above. She was 22 years old, and she was exactly who she needed to be.